Casper told Santini he didn't know exactly what was going to happen, but he knew it was big. Casper also reported his older brother, the big homie named Snoopy, had just contacted him because he could not reach Psycho. During the call with his brother, Snoopy told Casper he was in contact with the big homie named Santos, who called Snoopy from the Ciudad Barrios prison in El Salvador. Santos told Snoopy that all the big homies were mandating every MS-13 clique in the United States contribute $300 as part of a gang-wide fundraising drive. They required that the payments be received no later than December 1st to fund some sort of large-scale attack being planned. Snoopy also said he wanted to arrange a three-way conference call with Casper and Santos to go into more detail. During the arranged call, Santos explained to Casper the collected funds would pay for a quantity of guns in El Salvador. Casper agreed that 20th Street should be able to make the required payment, but he recommended that Snoopy and Santos contact Psycho directly to obtain official confirmation, since he was leading the clique now. As the deadline came and went, no payment was received by the big homies from 20th Street. Psycho's leadership may have been consolidating locally, but his deficiencies in cooperating with fellow clique leaders in California and with the big homies down south were causing serious problems. Casper reported to Santini he received another phone call on Saturday, December 8th from his brother Snoopy, who was furious. Snoopy demanded to know why 20th Street failed to make the $300 payment. He complained to Casper that Psycho was failing to answer his cell phone whenever contacts were attempted by the program in El Salvador. During the same conversation, Casper and Snoopy participated in a three-way conference call, this time with Peloncito, who deferred any explanations about the failure to Psycho. Snoopy warned Peloncito heatedly that 20th Street was the only clique that hadn't contributed the required funds yet. Casper attempted to quell his older brother's anger, telling him he believed 20th Street was currently in the process of collecting the money and the funds would be wired to El Salvador no later than December 14th. The delays and excuses from 20th Street were not to be tolerated any longer by the big homies, who determined to make an example of the clique's failure to pay on time. Peloncito received a call from Santos in El Salvador, who ordered that he and Psycho attend an important regional MS-13 gang summit in Los Angeles. Several California area factions were expected to attend the big meeting to discuss inter-clique cooperation, statewide objectives, and strategic goals of La Mara nationwide, Santos told Peloncito. Psycho was excited to hear the news. It meant he would be getting an opportunity to represent 20th Street for the first time as the clique's leader in front of numerous peers in the region. He felt like he was finally getting the respect he was due. A few days later, Psycho, Peloncito, and Soldado drove to Los Angeles to attend the inter-clique meeting to be held at MacArthur Park in the Pico Union section of the city. The three thugs from 20th Street were excited and each wore their best blue gangster gear for the occasion. Psycho donned his favorite Southside jacket while Peloncito wore his blue number 13 football jersey. Soldado put on his favorite light blue t-shirt with a matching 20 emblazoned on the cap. In LA, the three 20th Street homies first met with an MS-13 member named Lizard at the Los Mocajetes Pupuseria restaurant on Hoover Street, known for its delicious papusas. Lizard was a fledgling member of the Leeward clique in Los Angeles, which was one of the oldest and most respected in all of La Mara. Even a new member from the Leewards commanded special respect among other MS-13 cliques. It was rumored that recruits for the Leeward crew were all required to kill 3 people before they were jumped in. Lizard was young, but he also looked hard, like a homie who conceivably could have already killed 3 people. While loading his papusas with curtido, a fermented cabbage salsa, Lizard informed his 320th Street visitors they would be required to address the entire meeting that evening. Psycho was caught off guard to learn he was going to have to answer for the problems inside his clique. Word had traveled to the dark prisons of El Salvador and back to the streets of Los Angeles that 20th Street was dysfunctional and a bad representative of La Mara. Someone would have to answer for their failures. At dusk, the 4 homies walked a few blocks together through an upscale neighborhood, past the Park Plaza Hotel, and entered the MacArthur Park. At least a dozen Leeward members were waiting, smoking cigarettes, talking on cell phones, and kicking around a soccer ball. An hour passed and perhaps 24 more mareros arrived. Members from the Hollywood, Wilshire, Coronado, and Western cliques of MS-13 were also in attendance. At about 8:30 p.m., the group gathered in a circle, and the gang leader, Demente, addressed them. Psycho, Belencito, and Soldado were ordered to stand in the center of the ring, back to back in a triangle formation, facing the crowd of mareros staring back at them. The encircled trio could see the faces staring at them, all around behind the glow of lit cigarettes. Demente paced around them in a circle. "You failed to represent the hood," he said, his voice rising. "You failed to live up to your sworn oath to serve the beast. You failed to pay respect to those who have carried the flag before you. Do we expect failures amongst us?" "No," the entire group shouted in unison. Without being summoned, 3 mareros walked to the center of the ring, each holding a handgun, which they pressed against the foreheads of Psycho, Belencito, and Soldado, long enough to send a message. Suddenly, the 320th Street members were thrown down and the mob pounced on them, punching and kicking them wildly. Psycho almost lost consciousness before the melee ceased, and Demente leaned over him, pressing his face against Psycho's. "Correct the 20th Street, or the next visit to San Francisco will shine a green light on the 20, he said. "Don't fail, homie." The 320th Street homies returned to San Francisco, bruised and shaken, the message from the big homies to shape up or else firmly pounded into their brains. They quickly rounded up the cash for the special collection and forwarded it to El Salvador. From now on, they were committed to running the Mission Clique more in line with the ones in Los Angeles and Central America, ultra-violent and more responsive to the big homies' demands.